maybe about a week and a half. We should be done with this. Now, just to give you the overview I was telling you about, first things first, from chapter 1, verse 1, until chapter 10, verse 10, is what you will call getting ready. It continues the story that began in Exodus, describing what the Lord said to the redeemed Israelites during their 1 year stay at Mount Sinai, right? Then from chapter 10, verse 11 to chapter 12, verse 16 is what you would call setting out, describes the initial stages of their journey. Then something tragic happens in chapter 13 to chapter 14. It covers a major tragedy of the book, the most biggest major tragedy in the book, that people refused to enter the promised land and planned to appoint a substitute leader who would take them back to Egypt. And then from chapter 15 to chapter 25 is what we will call marking time. 38 years have to pass by to eliminate the generation that did not listen to God. It covers a lot of the events that took place and the teaching that was given during their enforced delay in the wilderness. And then from chapter 26 to 36 is what we would call pressing on. It covers and documents the experiences of the new generation from the time of the second census through the book's conclusion. Now, a couple of things. Hold on, let me turn this up a little bit so you guys can hear a little better. Okay, there we go. Now, the book of Numbers. The book of Numbers. People say, why is it called Numbers? Well, the main thing is because there's a couple of census that goes on in the book of Numbers. Census, when they count everybody of fighting age, right? But there's a little bit more to it. Numbers is the English translation of the Greek title of the book, which is arithmoi, arithmoi, which again is numbers, mathematics, due to the census in chapters 1 through 4, and then also in chapter 26. Now, not to mention that the fifth word of the book in Hebrew is bemidbar, 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 which means in the wilderness. It constitutes the Hebrew title. So, I guess the easiest way to say why is it called Numbers? Because they take a couple of census. In the beginning, they take a census who's ready to march on, who's ready to battle in case something happens. And then this is from chapter 1 through chapter 4. And then later in chapter 26, there is another census of the next generation. Okay? Follow me? All right. So that's good. Now, the reason I want to show you these notes that I have here, not really showing them, I'm kind of covering them with you because I took a little bit extra time with my notes here to get them from other books that I had and kind of put them onto one area. I want to make it as concise as possible. Okay, so again, chapter 1 through chapter 10, the people of God prepared to enter the promised land. Now, it covers the first 50 days. Moses prepares the people. It's been 1 year since they left Egypt. Now, in chapter 1, we're going to cover it at the center of the camp was the tabernacle of God, the most important item in the whole camp, the tabernacle of God, where God resides. Now, so around the tabernacle camped the priests and the Levites, guarding it to prevent ordinary Israelites from approaching it without careful preparation. And then beyond the Levites, we covered this briefly yesterday. I'll bring up the little diagrams again in a little bit. Beyond the Levites, then we have the secular tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel, three on each side, three to the east, three to the north, three to the south, and three to the west, right? And then outside the camp lived the unclean, the sufferers of skin disease, bodily discharges, who were unfit for the presence of God. Okay? So let me see. I just want to make sure of something here that we have everything. Yeah. Okay. Now, the 12 tribes, we're going to cover them right now, but some people wonder why something's off about the tribes. Yeah, something minute, something small, but it's still, we have to take note of it. Technically, there are 13 tribes. There's 12 tribes plus the Levites. The Levites are set apart by God to take care of the tabernacle, right? So, how can there still be 12 tribes if we take away the Levites, which was originally one of the 12 tribes? Well, as we covered briefly yesterday, remember in the end of Exodus, the end of Genesis, right before Exodus, we covered how Jacob blessed Joseph's two sons and adopted them. I don't know if you remember Ephraim and Manasseh. So that's where we basically got two more tribes, but then we took the Levites out, so now we're up to 13 tribes. But technically, it is still the 12 tribes of Israel. So now let's start reading here. Okay, here we go. The first census of Israel. On the first day of the second month, in the second year after the people of Israel left Egypt, the Lord spoke to Moses there in the tent of his presence in the Sinai desert. He said, "You and Aaron are to take a census of the people of Israel by clans and families. List the names of all the men 20 years old or older who are fit for military service. Ask one clan chief from each tribe to help you. These are the men, leaders with their tribes who were chosen from the community for this work." Before we go any further, now, tabernacle, the word in verse 1, tabernacle, or also known as the tent of meeting, refers to the central structure of the tabernacle complex, the little tent, if you will. This tent contained the sanctuary, or the holy place, in one part, and it contained the most holy place with the ark in the other part. These two sections were separated by a curtain. God revealed himself to Moses in the most holy place. Exodus chapter 33 mentions a tent of meeting where Moses met with God before the actual tabernacle was constructed. So let's also, as the book of Numbers opens, the Israelites had been camped near Mount Sinai for more than a year, just a little bit over a year. They had received all the laws, regulations recorded in the book of Leviticus. They had been transformed into a new nation and equipped for the task God had for them. Now, at this time, they were ready to move out and receive their land. In preparation, Moses and Aaron were told to number all the men who were able to serve in the army. This book is named for the census, or the numbering of the people, as we covered earlier. Okay, let's continue here. We have the names of the people here. These are the clan chiefs who represented each tribe. From Reuben, we have Elizur, son of Shedeur. From Simeon, we have Shelumiel, son of Zeri Shaddai. From Judah, we have Nashon, son of Aminadab. From Issachar, we have Nathanael, son of Zuar. From Zebulun, we have Eliab, son of Helon. From Ephraim, we have Elishama, son of Amihud. From Manasseh, we have Gamaliel, son of Pedahur. From Benjamin, we have Abidan, son of Gideoni. Dan, we have Ahiezer, son of Amishadai. Asher, we have Pagiel, son of Okran. Gad, we have Eliasaph, son of Deuel. And Naphtali, we have Ahira, son of Enan. So, with the help of these 12 men, Moses and Aaron called together the whole community on the first day of the second month and registered all the people by clans and families. The names of all the men 20 years old or older were recorded and counted, as the Lord had commanded. In the Sinai desert, Moses registered the people. The men 20 years old or older who were fit for military service were registered by name according to clan and family. Beginning with the tribe of Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, the totals were as followed. Reuben, 46,500. Simeon. Now, these numbers here are going to play a major part. I covered this yesterday as a little spoiler, okay? So keep in mind, hopefully you guys are good with math or you have a calculator. We're going to do something with these numbers in a little bit. Okay, now, one thing, taking a census was a long and tedious, but it was a very important task. The fighting men had to be counted to determine Israel's military strength before entering the promised land. In addition, the tribes had to be organized to determine the amount of land each would need. This would also provide a genealogical record for the young nation. Without such a census, the task of conquering and organizing the promised land would have been more difficult. Whenever we are at a crossroads, it is important to take inventory of our resources. We will serve more effectively if, before plunging in, we set aside time to take a census, if you will, of all we have: possessions, relationships, spiritual condition, time, and goals. So now here we have Reuben, 46,500. Simeon, 59,300. Gad, 45,650. Judah, 74,600. Issachar, 54,400. Zebulon, 57,400. Ephraim, 40,500. Manasseh, 32,200. Benjamin, 35,400. Dan, 62,700. Asher, 41,500. And Naphtali, 53,400. So total, 603,550, right? Now, these are just the men of fighting age, like between 20 and 60. There was a lot of other people, a lot of children, a lot of older people, a lot of disabled people, a lot of women. So, altogether, like we covered in the book of Exodus, about 2 to 3 million people traveling through the desert. So, if there were 603,550 men, let me cover this again, but in paraphrasing it, not counting the Levites, the women or children, the total population must have numbered more than two, almost 3 million people. How could such a large population have grown from Jacob's family of 70 who moved down to Egypt? The book of Exodus tells us that the Israelites who descended from Jacob's family multiplied so greatly that they became extremely powerful and filled the land. This was back in Exodus chapter 1, by the way. Because they remained in Egypt more than 400 years, they had plenty of time to grow into a large group of people. After leaving Egypt, they were able to survive in the wilderness because God miraculously provided the food and water that they needed. The leaders of Moab were terrified because of the large number of Israelites. Now, we're going to cover that in Numbers chapter 22. Okay, the Levites were not registered with the other tribes because the Lord had said to Moses, when you take a census of the men fit for military service, do not include the tribe of Levi. Instead, put the Levites in charge of the tent of my presence and all its equipment. They shall carry it and its equipment, serve in it, and set up their camp around it. Whenever you move your camp, the Levites shall take the tent down and set it up again at each new campsite. Anyone else who comes near the tent shall be put to death. The rest of the Israelites shall set up camp company by company, each man with his own group and under his own banner. But the Levites shall camp around the tent to guard it, so that no one may come near and cause my anger to strike the community of Israel. Hold on, let me move this over here. There we go. So the people of Israel did everything that the Lord had commanded Moses. All right. So let me see here. Let me get a. I'm gonna get a different Bible just for a couple of things. Hold on, please. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to Numbers 2, the next chapter, right? But I want to show you the different four different translations other than what we're reading, right? For those people who are hardcore NIV version enthusiasts, hardcore King James version, hardcore New American Standard Bible, hardcore Amplified. Okay, okay. First of all, an NIV, new, just the first paragraph. Okay, I know it may be hard for you guys to read, but I'll read it, and you guys can hopefully follow along. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, the Israelites are to camp around the tent of meeting, some distance from it, each of them under their standard and holding the banner of their family. Now, you notice something here on the east. This is where we're going to get into. You have to dig in, and there's a lot of writing, a lot of messages in between the sentences, literally in between the words. Because some people think, because it says here, around the tent. I showed you one of the Bibles that I have yesterday, how they actually show the tribes of Israel around, like a circle around the tabernacle, which is very, very wrong. Not that it's a deal breaker, but let's be honest here. It wasn't around like a circle. That's what it says on the east towards sunrise, right? The divisions of the camp of Judah, right, etc. Now, on the south, here we go to the south, on the south, right? And I can go on the west, right? On the north over here, right? So it's four different areas. It is not a circle around the tabernacle. One thing. Let's go to the King James now. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his own standard, with the ensign of their father's house far off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch. And on the east side, here we go again. I just want to make sure that you guys, I'm not changing the Bible around. These are now we have two different translations. Let's go to the third one, the New American Standard Bible. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, the sons of Israel shall camp, each by his own standard, with the banners of their fathers' households. They shall camp around the tent meeting at a distance. This is what people get confused. They think around that means like round, like a circle, right? But remember, here we go again. Those who camp on the east side, right, and so forth, south side. So I just want to reiterate, and this is the amplified, the last one. Same thing. I just want you guys to understand. It's almost like like when when a magician shows you a magic trick, they show you their hands, that nothing is going on, nothing on this side, nothing on that side, right? There's nothing, no tricks here. This is all the Word of God, is what I'm trying to show you. And then I'm going to show you how I ran into this little situation. Okay. Let me get this Bible. Hold on, please. This is what I was telling you about. This is what some Bibles explain, but it's not really 100% correct. See? They show them around the tabernacle. It's cute, but it's not really 100% correct. Does it matter? Not really. Not really. People have believed this for a long time. A lot of people believe it was a round circle, but if you go into each paragraph of chapter 3, it is not a circle. There is north, east, west, and south. But it's okay, right? It's okay. But that's how some people idealize and visualize the tribes around the tabernacle. Okay, it's not like I said, it's not a deal breaker. I mean, if you go home today or when you get off this live without me covering anything that I'm about to cover for the next 20 minutes, it's okay. You haven't lost anything, and you really haven't really gained anything. It's just a something beautiful that God put into His Word. So now let's finish chapter 2, and then I'll show you the beautiful discovery that God put in the Bible, isn't it? So here we go. Chapter 2. The Lord gave Moses and Aaron the following instructions. When the Israelites set up camp, each man will camp under the banner of his division and the flag of his own clan. The camp is to be set up all around. Here's that word again. Kind of misleading. All around the tent. But now here we go. On the east side, those under the banner of the division of Judah shall camp in their groups under their leaders as follows. Judah, with the leader that we talked about earlier, not shown, right? 74,600. Issachar, Nathanael with the leader, 54,400 people. Zebulun with Eliab as the leader, 57,400. So these three tribes, we have 186,400. Try to remember that number. Well, you don't have to remember. I have it written down somewhere. I'll show it to you right now. 186. Just remember that much. Let's go on. The division of Judah shall march first. Now, this is a little hint here. Remember who the Lion of the tribe of Judah is? Jesus Christ, right? So why would God pick Judah to go first? Why not Zebulun? Why not it? Why even in this same group? Why not Issachar? Why not one of the others? Right? But there's little nuggets that God throws in. Judah is to go first, right? But it's okay. Let's continue. On the south, those under the banner of the division of Reuben shall camp in their own groups, under the leaders as follows. Reuben, with the leader Elizur, 46,500. Simeon, with the leader Shelumiel, 59,300. Gad, with Eliasaph, 45,650. Total number of people is 151,450. Okay. Then we go, the division of Reuben shall march second, right? Those are the second ones. So first, whenever they're marching in the desert, you're going to have three major groups led by Judah, the lion of the tribe of Judah, right? Jesus Christ, Judah. Then we have these three tribes marching behind them, right? With about 151,000 people. And then between the first two divisions and the last two are to march carrying the tent. So what tent? We'll cover that in a second. We're going to go into that with the Levites in a second. But I'll keep on reading. Then between the first two divisions and the last two, the Levites are to march carrying the tent. Each division shall march in the same order as a camp, each in position under its banner. On the west side, those under the banner of the division of Ephraim shall camp in their groups, under their leaders. Ephraim, you have Elishama, right? 40,500. In Manasseh, you have Gamaliel, 32,200. In Benjamin, you have Abidan, 35,400. A total of only, and I say this only, hint, only 108,100, the smallest number of all four. Let's continue. The division of Ephraim shall march third. On the north, those under the banner of the division of Dan shall camp in their groups, under their leaders as follows. Dan with Ahiezer, 62,700. Asher with Pagiel, 41,500. Naphtali with Ahida, 53,400, totaling about 157,600. Right? So we have one with a large number, almost 190,000, 186 to be exact. One in the 150s, one with only 108, and one with another 150s. The division of Dan shall march last. The total number of the people of Israel enrolled in the divisions, group by group, was 603,550, as the Lord had commanded Moses. The Levites were not registered with the rest of the Israelites. So the people of Israel did everything the Lord had commanded Moses. They camped, each under his own banner, and they marched, each with his own clan. 3. This is the family of Aaron and Moses at the time the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. Aaron had 4 sons: Nadab, the oldest, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. They were anointed and ordained as priests. So, just to make sure we understand here, Aaron was the high priest. He only had four sons. Four sons. Two of them were destroyed because they lit the um, unauthorized fire. Remember in chapter 10 of Leviticus? Nathan and Abidu were killed when they offered unholy fire to the Lord in the Sinai desert. They had no children. So Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests during Aaron's lifetime. So we only have three. Now we have Aaron, Eleazar, and Ithamar, right? And then we have a lot of other Levites carrying the equipment. The Lord said to Moses, bring forward the tribe of Levi and appoint them as servants of Aaron the priest. They shall do the work required for the tent of my presence and perform duties for the priest and for the whole community. They shall take charge of all the equipment of the tent and perform the duties for the rest of the Israelites. The only responsibility the Levites have is to serve Aaron and his sons. You shall appoint Aaron and his sons to carry out the duties of the priesthood. Anyone else who tries to do so shall be put to death. The Lord said to Moses, the Levites are now to be mine. When I killed all the firstborn of the Egyptians, I consecrated as my own the oldest son of each Israelite family, and the firstborn of every animal. Now, instead of having the firstborn sons of Israel as my own, I have the Levites. They will belong to me. I am the Lord. In the Sinai desert, the Lord commanded Moses to register the Levites by clans and families, enrolling every male a month old or older. And Moses did so. Levi had three sons. Now, you probably wonder, well, I thought we had Aaron and two sons. Now we have some guy with three sons. Remember, Levi was one of the original 12 tribes. Levi. He had three sons, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These three names are going to play a major part with the tabernacle. Who were the ancestors of the clans that bear their names? Gershon had two sons, Libni and Shimei. Kohath had four sons, Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. And Merari had two sons, Mali and Mushi. They were the ancestors of the families that bear their names. The clan of Gershon was composed of the families of Libni and Shimei. The total numbers of male 1 month old or older that were enrolled was 7,500. This clan was to camp. Now, this is important, but I have it written down. Let me show you. See here? This is Gershon, have his 7,500. They're going to camp on the west side, right next to the tabernacle. Kohath had 8,600 camped on the south side. Merari has 6,200 camped on the north side. This is going to play a big part in what I just taught you yesterday about that hidden message that we're going to read about in a second. But here are the numbers anyways. This clan was to camp on the west behind the tent, with Eliasaph, son of Lael, as chief of the clan. They were responsible for the tent, its inner covering, its outer cover, the curtain for the entrance, the curtains for the court which is around the tent, and the altar, and the curtain for the entrance of the court. They were responsible for all the service connected with these items. So, this tribe here, the first tribe, okay, Gershon, the first tribe of Gershon, they were going to be in charge of the actual tent, not the stuff inside the tent of the tabernacle, but the actual tent, right? I want to read this again. They're responsible for the tent, the inner cover, the outer cover, the curtain for the entrance, the curtain for the court, which is those little right around the fence. Remember, the tabernacle was 75 feet wide and 150 feet long. Yards, sorry. Now, the curtains for the court, which is around the tent and the altar, and the curtain for the entrance of the court. They were responsible for all the service connected with these items. Then we have the clan of Kohath. The clan of Kohath was composed of the families of Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. The total number of males 1 month old or older that were enrolled was 8,600. I showed you that number in my notebook a little while ago. This clan was to camp on the south side of the tent, with Eliaphazan, son of Uziel, as chief of the clan. They were responsible for the covenant box. This is the heavy duty stuff right here. The Ark of the Covenant, the table, the lampstand, the altars, the utensils the priests used in the holy place, and the curtain at the entrance to the most holy place. So they were carrying the very, very valuable things made out of gold. Okay? They were responsible for all the service connected with these items. The chief of the Levites was Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest. He was in charge of those who carried out the duties in the holy place. Then we have the third group. The clan of Merari was composed of the families of Mali and Mushi. The total numbers of males 1 month or older was 6,200. This clan was to camp on the north side of the tent, where Zuriel, son of Abihail, as chief of the clan. They were assigned responsibility for the frames of the tent, its bars, posts, bases, and all its fittings, all the wooden stuff. They were responsible for all the service connected with these items. They were also responsible for the posts, the bases, the pegs, and ropes for the outer court. Moses and Aaron and his sons were to camp in front of the tent on the east. So, if you guys understand a little bit here, what we have the tabernacle in the middle, right? Then we have the clan of Gershon, which is one of the sons of Levi, right? Gershon. There was the camp on the west side, not the entrance to the tabernacle, but the other side, behind the tent, if you will, right? They were camping on the west side. Then Kohath, the people that carry the actual equipment, the valuable stuff, right? They were to camp also on the other side. In fact, it tells you right here, the south side. Now, then we have Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, and he was in charge of managing these people. Then we have Merari, right? Merari, you had 6,200, right? And they were to camp on the north side. So we have the east side missing. What's going on here? Well, even though we have a lot, we have thousands of Levites on the north, the west, and the south, we only have three Levites on the east side. That's Aaron and his two sons, right? So, and even then, something's going to happen right now that I want to show you. Let's finish chapter 3 and then I'll show you what I've been talking about. The Lord said to Moses, all of Israel's firstborn sons belong to me. So register by name every firstborn male Israelite, 1 month old or older, but in place of them, I claim all the Levites as mine. I am the Lord. I also claim the livestock of the Levites in place of all the firstborn of the livestock. Moses obeyed and registered all the firstborn males, 1 month old or older. The total was 22,273. The Lord said to Moses, now dedicate the Levites as mine in place of all the firstborn Israelite sons, and dedicate the livestock of the Levites in place of the firstborn of the Israelites' livestock. Since the firstborn Israelite sons outnumber the Levites by 273, you must buy back the extra sons. For each one pay 5 pieces of silver according to the official standard, and give this money to Aaron and his sons. Moses obeyed and took the 1,365 pieces of silver and gave them to Aaron and his sons. Okay, so we covered all that, right? A lot of numbers, right? That's why the book is called Numbers. But now let's cover something interesting. Okay, here we have the numbers again. On the east, right? Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, which is the highest number, 186,400. Right? That's the east side. Remember that there was no no Levi clan there, only Aaron and his two sons, three. So I didn't even bother putting them down. Otherwise, it would have been 186,403, but no big deal. Now look what happens here. Reuben, we have 46,500, Simeon, 59,300, and Gad, 45,650. It equals 150, 100, 450, right? Okay. But we add the Kohath tribe, remember? The Levites. Now we have 160. Interesting. It will be interesting. One more minute. Then on the west side, we have Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin, totaling 108,000. And with Gershon, the Levite tribe of Gershon, 7,500, we have a total of 115. You know what I'm doing, right? 151 plus the Levites equals 160. 108 plus the Levites equals 115. Then we have Dan, Asher, and Naphtali on the north side, equaling 157, plus 6,200. Now you have 163. Okay, so far so good. Ready? What does this show you? Let me explain what's going on here. This is the tabernacle right in the middle, right? The tabernacle right in the middle. 75 wide, 150 long. The entrance to the tabernacle is on the east side. This is the tent. The tent will be like right over here. The tent, right? The altar will be right over here, right? Okay. What I did here was imagine each square 20,000. We have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100,000, 120,000, right? We only have 115. So basically, this is including, don't forget, including the Levites. So we have this whole area covered up, right? Then we have the south side, which is Reuben, Simeon, Gad, and the Levi clan of Kohath. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100,000, 120, 140, 160,000. See how things play out almost perfectly? Then on the north side, we have Dan, Asher, Naphtali, right, with Merari, the Levi clan, 163. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60. A little bit over. So they both would go a little bit over, actually. And then the longest, which is the east, is Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun with 186,000 for, and what plus Aaron and his two sons. So we have this over here. So what does this look like to you guys? If you were to be, if you were God looking from the top down to his people in the desert, what would God look at? A square? A circle? I don't think so. No, it is what it is. Now, now I'm going to argue myself. I'm going to argue myself. Hold on, Rudy. Hold on a second. How can you know this? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, you know? And then you add the Levi clans? Exactly. The way that the Bible, I didn't do it. The Bible put the Levi clans, Kohath on the south, Gershon on the west, Merari on the north, and you add those numbers, it makes the figure more like a cross than before. I didn't do this. God did this, you know? But yet, it's going to be very difficult for you to find out. You know, it is in a study Bible. Very difficult. It will be nearly impossible for you to go to a church and have your pastor talk to you about this. Because now, I'm not saying I didn't, it's nothing special. I'm sure there's other people in this world who probably have figured this out too. But for some reason, it hasn't been made public yet. But because it isn't hard to figure out, it really isn't. What I did, what I did was this. When I was studying this a few years ago, the way that I saw it was, okay, I had that Bible that had them around in a circle, right? And I said, but then it said the north, the east, the west, the south. So then I thought, like, I thought it would be like this. This is another one of my Bibles. Remember I showed you one yesterday? Here it just shows them like a little circle, like a square. Just a square, no biggie, right? Where Asher, Dan, and Naphtali with the Merari, the Levi clan. Benjamin, Ephraim, Manasseh with Gershon, the Levi clan. And then you have Issachar, Judah, Zebulun with Moses, with the sons of Aaron, Moses and Aaron. And then you have the Kohath. It looks like a square. It's cute, very very cute. But don't you think this looks a lot better than a square? It's it's um it's something to understand, and you can try to battle me, or it's anybody, any scholar out there, anybody, especially TikTokers that want to claim that they know the Bible more than God knows the Bible. I would challenge them to tell me to refute this any way they can. I mean, it's if you take just the numbers of the 12 tribes, it's a cross. When you add the number of people that God set apart for himself, the Levites, to this number, it actually makes it even more prominent, more of a cross. So I think it's a beautiful thing. Whenever God was in the east, looking to the west, up in the sky, and he saw his people, he saw the cross of Jesus Christ. This is in the heart of the Torah, the most Jewish books in the Bible. To show this to a Jewish person, you would have him pull his hair out. You would have him literally put ashes in the air. It can't be. It's impossible. No. Ooh. The hissing, I can already hear it. For to show them that the cross of Jesus Christ, the man that they crucified, was in the middle of their book, it would cause an uproar to a Jewish person. And remember, this is nothing. Genesis chapter 5, we covered that when we did the study of Genesis, has the actual gospel of Jesus Christ coming to earth to pass away for the sins of the world. In chapter 5 of Genesis, the genealogy, when you take apart each word, what the Hebrew meaning really means. So to have these things, and I'm sure there's more, I'm sure there's more. Um, to have these things in the middle of the most Jewish books in the Bible is a slap in the face to a Jewish person right now who denies Jesus Christ as the real Messiah. You know that the Jewish people are still waiting. They're still waiting for their Messiah. They don't believe Jesus was the Messiah at all. They're still waiting for their Messiah. They're going to be deceived. But, just want to let you guys know this, as it's a beautiful thing how God wrote. Some people say, well, only men wrote the Bible. They weren't divided, they weren't guided by God. They were just men. Oh yeah? Could could men figure all this out? Especially Jewish men? Could they hide the cross inside one of their most holiest books? I don't think so. So it's just proves that God knows what he is doing. So this is what you get when you see the people. When God saw his people in the desert camped out, he saw the cross of his son, Jesus Christ. Boom. There you go. Amen. And we're done, people.